Hello, Luca. Hello, Alejandro. Welcome to AviaDev Inside Euro podcast.
Good morning. How are you?
Morning. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot for joining me. Definitely you have a very interesting story to share, so I'm looking forward to our conversation today. But before we get into it, why don't you share with us your personal journeys? What makes you passionate about aviation? We will come to direct what exactly you are doing in terms of this fascinating and wonderful and very wide industry, as you are focusing with your project on very, very specific subject. But let's start with a bit general overview. Why do you love aviation?
Well, Luca, you can go first on that one.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much again, Juraj, for this opportunity. Well, truthfully, I used to fly across the Atlantic as a kid. From 2 months old till now, I visit family in Europe, and now I live in Europe. So having that experience, traveling every summer, long haul always made me love it. I started talking to flight attendants and pilots, and then I started going to the JFK every weekend to spot planes, and I made friends there, people at the airport, and ultimately I was like, well, how can I get behind onto the ramp? So I became an aviation journalist at the age of 16 to go onto the ramp, and I got some of those opportunities. And ever since then, I've loved doing aviation strategy and communications. And I also work at another airline, in addition to Chaise Longue, being the CCO at Chaise Longue. So, and it's great to be working with Alejandro all the last couple of months.
Yeah, for me, it started being something more general. I always loved transport in general, so I didn't care about cars, buses, planes, trains. So I started enjoying a lot just watching them, starting to design the interiors of them, changing different things, putting things that I would like to see in the future, for example, as I was a very little kid. And when I went to university, I started looking into planes as a more serious thing, just not something that I enjoyed, but something I also wanted to do as a job, work on airplanes. Because it moves people around, it gives you the joy of visiting new places, and it's also a tool, right? It's a working tool for many people. So it involves everything. It involves working, it involves leisure, it involves resting, but it involves also a lot of action going on, right? So you're flying in a can up there in the sky, and it started really to bring up my passion for it. And I decided that it would be the way to go. Starting to work on something like an aircraft seat would be my way to get introduced into this industry, and so far I'm loving it. So yeah, I can say I'm an aviation lover, and I am like Luca nowadays. We share a lot of comments about aviation every single time we speak together.
Fantastic. Okay, so you had your moments at CNN, you had your moments at Forbes magazine, so now this is your moment at AviaDev Inside Euro podcast. So tell us about your fascinating, a bit futuristic maybe concept for new design of aircraft seating. What makes it so special and unique that you think that it will work?
Okay, so as I knew this interview was going to be recorded, I decided to place this little poster behind my back so that people can have an idea of the seat, although you can look for it on the internet. It's called the Chaise Longue economy seat, and it's a double-decker economy seat that will be placed in the central row of wide-body aircraft. So wide-body aircraft tend to have 2 window rows, and then they have the central row. This seat has been designed to cover this area of the aircraft, and its main intent is to give passengers more comfort without affecting the passenger capacity for airlines. So it would be a win-win situation in this case for both the airline and the passenger. The airline wouldn't lose any money and could probably increase it by increasing the passenger capacity with this type of seat, but at the same time the passenger would have more space to recline, more space to move around, and also more space to live inside the aircraft while they are traveling long haul.
From the picture, I can see that something is missing, the overhead bins. So how can it work without overhead bins?
Okay, so the overhead bins were one of the main structural parts called monuments inside the aircraft cabin that were bothering me when I was traveling, because I'm very tall, and whenever I try to reach my seat, I always have to crumble down. I have to go down to get into the row, and it's all because you have something hanging up there, which is not very practical if you think about it, and it takes up a lot of space that can be used in a different way. So when I started to work on this project, I was wondering what could be done with that overhead cabin storage, and where could it be placed to gain that space, to take advantage of the vertical space inside the cabin. So as you can see here, well spotted, the overhead cabin storage is not there anymore. It would be located under the seat of every single passenger. So they would all have individual access to their stuff, and they would also be able to place it right under their legs. So if you have to stand up and tell everyone in your row to stand up to get your phone charger, it's very disrupting. While in this case, you would have your luggage right underneath.
Yeah, also it sounds very practical. Also, you are saying that you are very tall, but also for some people who are not that tall, it can be much easier to use it this way than to climb to the overhead bins and put their luggage in there.
Definitely, it can go both ways. If you're very tall, it disturbs you because you hit it with your head. If you're very small, or if you're shorter, then you have trouble with placing the luggage up there. Or even if you're like an old person or people with reduced mobility, they tend to have problems to put their luggage up there. So the best way is to put it a little bit closer to the floor so that you don't have to carry all the weight up above your head.
Exactly. And you mentioned that this solution would work on the wide body plane. So why not on the narrow body? 27 or A320. Is the size of the plane a problem or a challenge?
Well, as this seat has two different rows at different levels, the upper row would collide with the walls of short haul planes, so single aisle planes. So that's why we are not even considering it. And if you placed it in the middle of these planes, then you would lose passenger capacity, and it's not something that we're looking for. Also, the seat has been designed in a way that the comfort features are meant to give you comfort from a certain flying time. So if you fly for 2 hours, you normally don't tend to realize how thick or how soft is your seat. But if you're flying for more than 6 hours, then your body starts to realize, okay, this is not very comfortable. I need to change posture. So this is why we designed the seat that will allow passengers to have a lot of comfort while being seated on this seat for like 10 hours in a row.
And that continues on with our main aim of being a long-haul economy class seat. We really want to focus on the ULR flights. ULR or low-cost long-haul carriers or long-haul carriers that are really trying to improve their product that fly over a certain time.
Yep, that's true. That's true. As Luca said, we're aiming for the long-haul and ultra-long-haul carriers. So this is our aim with this seat. It's not meant for every type of airplane, but wide bodies are our main target right now.
Yes, we are recording in early January 2022, and still we are the beauties of the pandemic. In 2020. And I saw in the article in the Forbes magazine that your concept also offers some opportunities or some solutions for the spread of the potential virus.
Yeah, that's true. First of all, I would like to say that airplanes are one of the safest planes to be in because they have a 99.9% of air renewing capability. So basically most of the air in the cabin is renewed within a couple of minutes. And it always goes vertically. So this is something that we don't learn, but the air inside an airplane cabin has been designed to go from the top to the bottom so that you never share the air with the people sitting right next to you. However, this seat also provides you with the opportunity to separate rows into different levels. So you don't have two rows at the same level at any time in the central row of a wide-body aircraft. That would mean that you could separate groups of people into different heights. So if you have a family traveling together, they could be traveling on the upper row. And if you have people flying solo, they could be traveling on the lower row with more distance between themselves. So this is something that we didn't mean to do for the pandemic, but once the pandemic started, we realized that this seat would actually help with the social distancing. Right now we have aircraft that are flying full again, so it doesn't really make sense to have a seat that can completely separate rows. But in case there would be another pandemic, this seat provides more space, more interpersonal space between one passenger and another one in the front row or in the seats right next to them.
Okay, so all sounds great, very, very promising, very, very interesting. So it started as an idea 2 years ago maybe, or a year ago. So where are you now with your idea? Are you already potentially talking to some OEMs?
Well, yeah, this idea started as a university project, as a student project. I started working on this idea, and the more the time passed, the more me and my tutor realized that this could be an actual project, an aircraft seat project that would end up being an aircraft seat in the future. So we started working harder on it. We started presenting ourselves to different types of competitions. And now we're in the stage where we are at the proof of concept, but probably Luca can tell you a little bit more about this, Luca.
Yes, well, currently we're in the proof of concept and we're looking for a serious amount of funding, more than, I mean, we're looking for, I would say, quite a lot of money that, you know, it's not a typical startup or a tech startup, what you're looking at. But we really think that what we've done, and we've been to conferences in London recently and Germany, focused on interior, cabin interiors. We've seen that, you know, we're at that level where people are really wanting to invest and buy into our product. And now it's just more or less sorting out the money and getting into our next stage of manufacturing, certifying it, and then placing it with one airline, and then it will launch like that. We believe that once one airline buys it, you know, the industry has to change. And ultimately, if you remember the Sky Couch in 2008, Delta was the sole order of the new Sky Couch in 2008, and then they canceled their order. But a lot of airlines were afraid once Delta made that decision because it was a differentiator. You know, I mean, now Air New Zealand and Lufthansa are the only ones really have a different economy class product with these. It's not the Sky Couch, but it's I think it maybe is the Sky Couch, but there's another product that was in 2008 that Delta ordered. But the Sky Couch is the only economy differentiator. Other than we've seen airlines starting to invest in premium economy, like Swiss recently on the 777, but we think this can create a drastic change and cause, I would say, an avalanche.
Yeah, I mean, Luke is right there. We are in the proof of concept stage, so we are also building prototypes now. We're in the process of building new prototypes to present at different aviation events now in 2022. Now that all the on-site activity is going back on, because we've been to a lot of online events in the past year. During the last summer, we've been attending multiple events, but they have all been through the screen. So you cannot really show the potential of this seat to people sitting behind the screen. But now that we have the chance to attend to these conferences in 2022, we will be bringing all our power. So all our prototypes, a VR set as well. So with the VR goggles that you can put and see in 3D, we're trying to bring all these things to the conferences to convince people, convince airlines, convince manufacturers that this is the way to go for the economy class. We have seen that the economy class hasn't evolved in the past 40 years. And now we see the chance of it evolving because people require and people want changes in aviation. We don't want to travel like cattle, like it's nowadays with the economy class. All the people is packed in there and they barely have any space. We want to give a change for both the airlines, but also for the passengers flying with them.
For sure, there is this narrative across the industry that we need to build back better after the pandemic, and that includes many areas, including sustainability and many others. But of course, as you are saying, changing the economic concept, flying economy concept on long-haul flights can definitely be something. As I haven't really realized that it hasn't been really transformed in the last 40 years. So very, very interesting and big opportunity also for you guys. So, what are the plans for the next 1 or 2 years, or what's the time scale? When can we enjoy your seats on flying across the Atlantic? Let's say.
Well, I just want to make a point there, and there has been an evolution in 40 years, but I must say that this evolution has been backwards. So it's been going worse instead of better. The economy class has just gotten worse in terms of space, in terms of comfort. Of course, there are products nowadays that look better and they are aimed to give a better experience, but in general, it's just gone worse, much, much worse. So yeah, our aim is to change this by providing passengers with a different type of seat, a different type of experience without having to pay more, because we are designing this seat in a way that it's more sustainable. We're trying to take into account all the new materials that have been designed or have been produced in the past few years, which haven't been used before for airplane seats. And yeah, now in the next year or two, what we're expecting to do is, as we were saying before, producing multiple prototypes that we can take around the world to different aviation events. But also we are now very focused on getting funding and getting the right contacts in our network to go for a development process in which we can create the full assembly line of the seats. So basically have a finalized seat, but also the capacity to produce it somewhere. We don't know where, or we don't know with who as a partner. We want to be serious with this project. So the best way to do this is by saying that we will be producing this seat and we will be implementing it. It goes through a long process, of course, and it's very optimistic to say like I'm saying it right now. But if no one believes in it, if you don't even believe in your own project, then who's going to believe in it?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah. We've had a lot of talks with manufacturers. We've had talks with airlines. We're really on the map of people, and that's why we believe that we can do this in the next 1 to 2 years. If you asked us the 5 years, without all of that, we would have said, okay, 5 years, maybe no, but really we're on our way. I mean, we have the support of airlines in multiple continents who are really interested and tell us, wow, this is an incredible product and this is something, and then manufacturers the same story. So really, ultimately, I would say starting first with our fundraising is our biggest priority right now. Getting that investment for the certification and for the manufacturing of the prototypes, and then building an actual our final model and sending it to airlines and getting it installed on aircraft. And we're having help from aircraft manufacturers, so we're all thankful to them.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's say best case scenario. How much time will you need to really put it into real planes? 4 years, 5 years?
Best case scenario.
Yeah, best
case
Everything
scenario
goes
being
well.
very, very optimistic, right? I would say 2.5 to 3 years from now to put it inside an airplane, because of course it takes time to get everything certified, and it takes a lot of time, of course, to produce it, to manufacture it to the point where you have a full airplane of seats, like the amount of seats that you need to fill an airplane, which is not one or two, it's hundreds of them. So, that would be the best case scenario. If we are very optimistic, I would say 2 years. Whenever I discuss it with Luca, we have the 2 years in mind.
We sort of disagree sometimes, on the years, I'm like, oh, we should work harder. And he's like, oh, but then, we both get along. We really champion it. I mean, now even hearing 2 years, I'm like, 1 year and a half.
So if I tell Luca 2 years, he will say 1 year and a half. If I say 1 year and a half, he will say 1 year.
Exactly.
But the goal is to have it as soon as possible. So best case scenario, we get everything done this year in terms of funding, in terms of finally developing the whole structure of the seat, because of course it has to go through a lot of engineering, and we will have to recreate or rebuild some parts of the seat to cover all the specifications and certifications. But if everything goes to plan in 2022, then by 2023 we could be talking about really starting to build the final model, the assembly line, the production line model, which would be the one that we put into aircraft. And then, of course, it takes some time to put it into the aircraft. So, that's why I say 2 years minimum. But if Luca is here, let's say 1 year and a half.
And is this now your full-time priority, or are you still studying at the university, Alejandro?
Let's say I am studying at the university, but this is my full-time priority. So I spend on this project as much time as I need to. As I was talking to you before starting the interview, I haven't slept in a long time. Like, I don't sleep very well lately. And Luca, you can see our faces. Probably we don't sleep very well lately, but it's because we're spending all the time into this project. So basically, if we don't sleep, we're working on this and we're enjoying it. So I have some other things to do, and Luca as well. Luca is a very busy guy in terms of aviation. He's doing thousands of things. But when it comes to this project, we don't have anything better to do. So this is our main priority.
And we want to tell you a lot more, but we have a lot of surprises. So we really want to surprise you, so let's see in the second interview.
Of course,
no.
of course. So for those who are listening and want to follow your story, what's the best way to, or potentially connect with you? Do you have a website or a LinkedIn profile?
Well, we are in process of building a website now. Luca is in charge of that, so it's hopefully in the next few weeks we will have a website. But the best way to do so is by following us on LinkedIn. We have the Chaise Longue Economy Seat LinkedIn, but we also have our personal accounts, which are the Alejandro Nunez Vicente and Luca Zocche accounts. So there you will be able to follow our story. We are posting there weekly. We're sharing all the new developments of the seat. Of course, we don't share everything, but we share the most interesting things for our public. I think now, with this project, we have created a lot of expectations by appearing in media articles around the world, like CNN, Forbes, Simple Flying. We have appeared into all of these different articles, and we have created expectations, and we do have a public. We have people following us every day. Every time we post, they are commenting, they are trying to share their questions, their doubts, their support. So we really are feeling now that we have a chance in this world because people want the change, and we are bringing the change. So if you want to follow us on LinkedIn, and soon we will also start with our social media. So we will have an Instagram where we will share pictures of the developments, the prototypes, everything. But for now, LinkedIn.
Good. I'll make sure I'll add all the links to your LinkedIn profiles, and then also to on your website to the show notes of the podcast. So everybody who is listening and you want to follow the guys, just check the show notes of the episode, and you can click directly to their profiles.
That is great.
Thank you. Yeah, really. I mean, we really think that this is the generation of marketing 3.0. We're being people-centered, not only towards the customer, but also towards the company. We're both passionate people, and we both want to really help the customers, the airlines and the passenger. So we're super excited. I think this is our best adventure, and a lot more to come. And we want to tell you. We look forward to telling you more.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Luca is right. Whenever we are asked about this project, we are asked about, you're in this because of the money, right? There's a lot of money in aviation. And it's not really like that. We're not here for the money. We're here to give passengers a better journey, to give people a better traveling experience in the economy class. Like, people cannot afford to pay for business class tickets, first class tickets. But that doesn't mean that they have to travel as if they were cattle, as I was saying before. There are a lot of options, and there's a lot of room inside the aircraft. Well, a lot of room. Not a lot, but there's enough room to give passengers more comfort, and at the same time provide the airlines with a seat that increases their passenger capacity or maintains it. So airlines don't lose any money, and passengers gain so much more. It's not a trip from point A to point B. It's actually you're flying and you're enjoying the experience of being 10 kilometers above the ground.
Exactly. So, I mean, your enthusiasm is really impressive. So I wish you all the best, guys. Good luck with getting all those investors in, and with everything around your project. So we make sure we follow your story, and maybe we can catch up again in a year and a half, or 2 years, and let's see where you are with the project. And in the meantime, all the best. Take care.
A year and a half, if you put it that way.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm making a note.
Well, now I'm going to say make it a year.
Okay, summer 2023, we're having another chat.
Of course. Thank you so much for your time, and we really appreciate this kind of interviews. They really help us, and they really also show what we're here for. We're not here for just showing a model and not doing anything. We're here to bring change to the economy class, and we're working hard for it. So for everyone out there listening to this podcast, just know that we're coming, and we're coming for real.
Especially those airline CEOs.
Exactly. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Alejandro,
you. Thank you so
Luca,
much,
all the best. Bye-bye.
Take care. Thank you so much.